If you have any questions for Dave in terms of where he thinks people should be in the bracket, where they will be, why they will be there, give him a call. Give me a call at 217-935-8100. Dave, speaking of the West Coast again, the one thing that seems interesting to me is that Gonzaga is by far and away considered the best team in the conference, but every road game they go on, they're getting the other team's best efforts, and they're not walking away with these 20, 30-point wins.
No doubt about it. And, so much of that has to do with the crowds that Adam Morrison draws. I mean, I have to tell you that game I went to at War Memorial Gym last Monday was just a spectacular atmosphere. It's an interesting architectural setup because there are entrances on 2 levels, and one of the doors on the second level was left open. And so I would have to say, I've seen estimates of about 500. I would say about 800 students just walked in through that door without any tickets. And
what?
There were people just hanging over the railings over the basketball court. Jesse Evans, the San Francisco coach, had a good line about it. He said, I didn't even want to get up and leave my seat because I was afraid somebody was going to come down and take it right on the floor. So there were several fire marshal calls, and it was just an incredible atmosphere. The place was just absolutely rocking, and from what I gather, it's like that everywhere the Zags play on the road. So they're kind of becoming the Duke of the West. I mean, they get everybody's best shot every week, and it's awfully tough to win games by 20 points when you have home court fans literally hanging right over your bench. It's very difficult.
All right, so looking at these conferences I mentioned earlier in the show and what the final thoughts on them are, I mean, we're talking – I tried to give a kind of a unique overview of them for Midwest fans, but when it comes down to it, the nitty-gritty, what do these conferences really have in terms of when you're looking at where they're going to be in the NCAA? Big Sky, for instance.
Big Sky, you've got, I think, Northern Arizona is looking pretty good in that conference, and they're actually going to be featured in one of the televised Bracket Buster games. Can't remember who they're playing exactly now that I think of it, but I know they're going to be on television. And of course, I think Montana out of that conference beat Stanford earlier in the year. So that conference is doing okay for itself. It's not, I would say in general the Western basketball, pretty much Omaha is as far west as you want to look for good teams this year. Teams that are going to make a deep run in the tournament, and so I would say that to be honest, I think the Pac-10 is about as bad as it's ever been right now, and that's usually the conference that makes the deepest run in the tournament out west, and it's just a bad year for Western basketball.
You're thinking Big Sky, one team, only the winner of the conference tournament?
Yeah, I don't see Northern Arizona even with winning the Bracket Buster and even winning out. It's going to be tough. I mean, we all know what happened at Utah State a couple of years ago. I think they were 25-3, and the committee just sneezed at them, basically said, "Sorry, good luck next year with a better schedule." So I think it's going to be really tough for the Big Sky to get more than one bid. The WAC has a shot at a couple of bids. Louisiana Tech has been playing great recently, as has Utah State. Nevada had a pretty good non-conference run, and Hawaii's always dangerous as a spoiler. So you could see 2 teams out of the WAC. Mountain West the same way. If Air Force would get its act together, I think they could still sneak in as an at-large. And San Diego State looking very good in that conference right now. So that conference could get 2 bids, but the Pac-10 used to getting 5-6 teams at some for some years, and this year I think they're going to really struggle to get 4, and probably will end up with 3 when all said and done.
So the reason why the Pac-10 is not doing so hot is not necessarily their 4, 5, 6 teams to get in, but their top teams are down. I mean, Washington, Arizona, Stanford. You think those are going to be 1, 2, 3 seeds? Well, Arizona's 13-9 right now.
Yeah, I mean, in Arizona, the only reason they're even in the bracket this week, I mean, I've got them as an 8, just because I feel like their RPI and their strength of schedule are still holding them in there. Still both in the top 20, I think, overall, and they have no top 50 wins this year, and that's pretty scary this late in the season. They need to pick up some wins fast. So they just blew one a chance to beat UCLA in Pauley Pavilion over the weekend, and frankly, they need to sweep the Bay Area schools next weekend to really solidify their bid. Washington is looking like they're preparing for the luge in Torino, sliding down a very slippery slope right now. Back-to-back losses to Cal and Stanford, and then losing to Washington State, getting swept by the Cougars this year, I think for the first time in something like 12 years for the Huskies, losing by 11 at Pullman. So the Huskies, I'll be honest, I was dead wrong on them. I thought they were going to make a pretty good run in the tournament. They've got good size inside. They're a fast team. Lorenzo Romar, I think, is a very good coach, and they are in trouble, in danger of missing the tournament altogether. They do have, a non-conference win over Gonzaga, which is huge, and I think they also won down at UCLA. That Cal and Washington both won at UCLA, but other than that, the Huskies, I mean, they could, they're about 500 in conference play right now, and that is not going to cut it this year in the down Pac-10.
You want to talk a little bit about your top 4 teams, number 1 seeds right now?